Hello there, Magic Monsters. Welcome to the stream. So, before we get started, I just wanted to share with you a couple things. First, check out InfinityPBR.com. We have the See All Assets button, which takes you to the asset store, and where you can see all the assets, how you like them assets. And we got the new Game Modules 4. This is what we're working on in a way today. Game Modules 4 has a wonderful first-person character controller. It's very simple in that it works and it's simple and you can customize it. And you can fly and you can jump and you can do all these fun stuff with it. And I just updated that. That's very exciting. And we have scripting docs on the scripting docs. So definitely check that out. There's a crap ton of scripting docs and a lot of video tutorials too. So if you want to do different things, you can get tutorials on that. And if you want more, come to the Discord and let me know what you want. And while we're here, the Humble Bundle is also available right now. If you go to the software, you can click on this fancy thing here and buy 10 characters for only $15, which is a screaming deal. I'm not sure why only 492 have sold. That's a little disappointing if I'm honest with myself, and I tend to be. That's actually extremely disappointing, those numbers. But what can you do? What can you do? So this is let me show you what I've been working on. So this is actually I've been working on a video for a person on Discord who asked specifically how to make a damageable wall and how to basically affect stats, cause damage. Was that the question? What was the exact question? Let me find the exact question. Yes, here we go. How would you code a wall that has a health stat of 3? It doesn't matter the health stat. You can be whatever it wants. And a player collides with the wall, removes it, -1 health from the wall. Okay, so really what we're looking at is how do you cause damage to a wall? How do you affect the stat points on a wall, the health points on a wall? Yes, you got, for this specific example, you need a detector script for collision. When the player collides, the health variable on the wall, you should just use the stats for, and that's why I want to demonstrate here. You just make the wall a character. It doesn't have to be a monster. It doesn't have to move. It doesn't have to do all the other stuff that character does, but it's got stats, so it's a character, you know? And then detect the collision of the wall. If wall health is 0, sort of, yeah. If the wall health is 0, then it's already destroyed, right? So it doesn't, shouldn't be a moot point there. Then remove 1 health from the wall, and check the wall for death. Coffee, and then destroy the wall. Yeah, but it's generally fine. But how do I wire up the game objects to the player in Game Modules 4? And I'm excited to use stats. So what we have here, oh, I've got my humans in there too. We've got the, I've got a half orc. Whoops, don't do that yet. I can go up here and they're going to attack me. It's very simple. Very simple timer. All 3 of these things, the chest, the barrel, and the serpent warrior are all enemy, NPCs, characters. So is the player. Player is a character. I'm going to step away real quick. The player doesn't die here, so his health can go down to whatever. But I didn't want to have a situation where the player died. What do we got here? Where's my scripts? There we go. So I've got my actor. We have our actor, which inherits from Game Modules actor. Doesn't have anything extra on it right now. We also have our character. Our character is our base character. So that's a base model behavior. And it's got an actor on it. It's got all these fun properties on it, including things like the health. So you grab the health stat by doing actor stats get health, and then health is just the health stat dot points. That's your current health, max health, etc., 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 etc. We've got some basic methods that all characters might have. They're all virtual, which means the other inheritors can override them. So fun stuff there. Spine, a hit particle, computing damage, damaging the character. So this is where the character actually gets damaged. One character will damage another. So if we're talking about the Serpent Warrior calls damage character and adds in the player, and then computes the damage. If it's less than 0, then we don't do anything. Otherwise, spawn a hit particle, and then call got hit on the target character and pass that damage in. So since they're all characters, they all have these methods, right? The player, everything has these methods. So the player then gets the got hit damage, health stat, add points, negative damage. That's how you actually pass the damage in. Health stat, add points, pass in the damage. If we're dead, we're going to do their death and return true. Otherwise, we'll do, if we can, our got hit animation. If the animator is null, then we don't do anything. We just return, we return true, actually. All right, so now in this, we have another button. Oh, I should show you the other scripts. What am I doing? What am I doing here, huh? And now I think I just crashed Unity. Oh, no, I didn't crash Unity, but it reset. Okay. Hello, Troy. Oh, you're here. You are here. I made the character. So this is welcome to the stream. I'm glad you're here since it's all about your stuff. This is something you have to make. So, you know, I say all the time that game modules lets you make your game. And the reason why I say that is because every game is different, right? So we have the game modules actor. Game modules actor has all the things a character would need to handle, stats and conditions, etc., which are very common things that you're going to have. But the specific stats, entirely up to you, whether it's health, hit points, mana, power, whatever the hearts, whatever the thing is that you're tracking lives with, might be different. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, well, you have to use health. It has to be called health. You can call it hearts in the UI, but it's really health in the backend. No, it can be hearts. It can be hearts. And that's ultimately what it comes down to is this is your game, you know. So in this video, in this demo, I just wanted to basically show how I would go about doing it. We've got the character here, but if we look at the Serpent Warrior, the Serpent Warrior is an NPC. So the NPC is a character, but the NPC has these additional things. I'm assuming we got the player, and I should show the player too. Player half orc, excuse me, has a player script, and the player is a character. So the player is a character. In this case, this demo, it's a one person thing. So I'm making a static reference to it, so everything can get player instance. And you know, we're overriding the do attack here. We're overriding. Well, that's it. We're just overriding the do attack. Then we're checking. It's the mimic because the chest hint is a mimic. And so if it's a mimic, then we're going to do something different. You know, we're going to check if the mimic's closed, then we're going to just attack it. Otherwise, we're going to open it, and then it becomes an enemy. Here's a method to get the closest NPC, specifically an NPC. And so the NPC, the Serpent Warrior is an NPC, and NPCs are, you know, they can be friendly to the player. They can look at the player. They have this attack hit delay. That's just kind of a hack to make the actual hit happen just a little bit after the attack starts, since there's always a warm up in the animation. You know, next attack time, there's a stat for attack period right here. Attack period, it's a stat. Technically something that could be modified during the game. Checks the distance to the player. We get our player position, etc., etc. So nothing too much here, but we're overriding the do attack. We have the virtual look at player. Characters don't have look at player, but NPCs have look at player. And then let's get into the wall. So the wall is really this barrel. So I made this barrel to be like a wall, basically a destructible object, a thing that otherwise isn't you wouldn't expect to be a bad guy or an NPC. It doesn't move around. And so it's got a special script called barrel. Barrel inherits from NPC. So everything the NPC has, barrel has. Everything that character has, barrel has. So that means barrel also has an actor on it. So you can see that right here, the actor. It's got starting stats. I've set some starting stats here. We have a damage, attack, max health, and health. It doesn't need more stats than that because this is all it does. It's going to explode basically, and it's got health, and that's how much health before it explodes, and then it causes a ton of damage. And then it's got some extra stuff here. So I like to use, I don't know if you all do this, but in our barrel, where's my, oh, I'm in the barrel. We have the header barrel option so that you can see that right here. And then I'm using destroy it from the asset store to do the actual explosion. Barely use that asset, just it makes it explode. So no big deal there. But basically when it dies, we just call destructible destroy, which is a method on the destroy it. But yeah, so essentially when for the got hit for this, which is, you know, you can imagine it being a wall, the NPC has a got hit. Actually, NPC uses the default got hit. So character has a got hit. And in got hit, we're just going to remove damage from the health stat, check for death. If we have an animator, do a death animation, and that's it. For the barrel, however, we're modifying that. We're overriding this. So now we're still going to do the damage, and then we're still going to check for death. If we're not dead, we're going to play a got hit sound, and just leave it at that. So just a boom, like a wood hit sound. If we are dead, however, we're going to do death. And the death is overriding death because death is another common method on the character. And so we have to override it. Rather than doing the standard death for any other character, we're going to explode. And then explode is a custom method just for the barrel. And this is going to do something. So you could have, like if I think I'm going to have many things and many objects that might explode in this game, then I might actually make this an explodable object. And then barrel could inherit from explodable object, you know, because essentially the further up this chain of inheritance that you can go, the better it is because you can share more code, and it ultimately means you have less code to write, and your classes become much smaller. And so let's go back here, and I'm going to basically show the three things. And then we'll get into third-person controller. And my woes with that. I made a video showing how easy it is to replace the sample third-person controller from Unity with, you know, the half orc or the human or whatever. Very easy, works well, gets you going really quick. All right, this is what it is. Using their animations and everything. They're not the best animations. There's some clipping and there's some weird stuff going on. But all right, so for this, all I do here is just hit this, and he gets attacked, and then he dies. No big deal. We're doing an attack. We have an attack and a damage stat. It's a 1dx or xdy scenario. So here is the mimic. I open it and he immediately attacks. Now he's going to be there attacking me. Oh, and for some reason, why can't I attack him? Wait a minute. Oh yeah, I remember this bug from last night. Okay, let's fix that in a second. But then here's the barrel. So barrels, you can see the health down here in the right. Ooh. I don't like it locks the mouse. But you can see the health will be shown down here in the right, and that's 15, 12, 6, 3 point something. All right, next one is going to explode. Boom, it explodes. Part of the explosion, it casts a huge damage everywhere. Even the half orc got damaged. You just couldn't tell because he doesn't have a reaction to it. But yeah, so that's how you would do that, essentially. So you can have a look at this code here. The explode is right here. Spawn explosion particle, destroy the object. The object that's being destroyed is actually a child of barrel because you don't want to destroy the object that you're about to do all this to. Otherwise, this won't happen. We're doing an overlap sphere for the range. You're welcome. And then for each one of those, if it's a character and it's not dead, then damage the character, and damaging the character is the standard damage character method on all characters. So why didn't the mimic get attacked? So I remember this last night, and then I decided go not see a movie, but go to the couch and have a beverage and watch a movie. And I watched RoboCop, and it was okay, but the new one, not the old one. All right, so our player, when we get the closest enemy on our do attack, there's a mouse. It's a very simple script, mouse attack. There's a mouse attack script that just says if the mouse button is down, get the character do attack. Nothing fancy there. Do attack gets the closest NPC. If it's a mimic, it returns false, and it doesn't do anything. Or rather, maybe this is the issue here. So the goal here is saying if it's a mimic that's closed, so we should say this is NPC is closed mimic. That's more specific. If it's a closed mimic, then we're going to return false. In other words, we don't damage the character. We don't do the attack hit or anything like that. However, let's look at this. NPC, closed NPC. If closed NPC is not mimic, return false. Otherwise, return not mimic, open mimic. So open mimic will return true or false. True if it opens. And that's the issue right there, I think. There you go. I believe open mimic, if it's already open, returns false. Otherwise, we say it's open. We set the trigger, animation trigger to open, and then we return true. Yeah, there we go. I think that was the issue. And so basically we want to say if it's non-mimic and returning false, if it's already open, we're returning false. And that's so... yeah, and if it's there we go. That was the issue. That was it. So we can make this a expression bodied. Look at that. I love expression bodies. Express yourself. There's a flying thing in here. I woke up and my shoulder was all messed up, so I can't like turn my head as much. Hey, and there's definitely a flying thing. It's small and annoying and probably might bite me. Oh well. I don't know why these scripts are taking so long to compile. I was actually doing this with Nature Manufacture Pack and my Medieval Environment Pack and all this other stuff, but the scripts were taking so long to compile, and the game was taking like 2 minutes to press start. I just deleted all that stuff and went back to this scene because I was getting annoyed I wasn't able to move fast enough. Because oftentimes when you're working on like a system like this, a scene like this is just perfectly fine. You know, because all you're really trying to do is test the system. You don't need the super pretty environments and all that. It can be helpful, but you don't need it necessarily. Okay, so let's go fight this. So again, as soon as he opens, he's going to attack. Okay, he's looking at me. There we go. That was the issue. There we go. Boom. All right, so that was all that. Now let's look at why I am, well, first of all, I don't know what's going on here. I think it's because the barrel is still technically there and there's a collider on it, is my guess. See, the barrel's there and there's a collider on it. We can walk through other people. Look at that. Crazy. So if you look at the feet, it's not so bad, right? We're just going back and forth like this. Not so bad. But if we go to the animator on the... And thus begins the third person controller part of the stream. If we go to the player half orc, the animator, and we look at our idols here, we're using the stuff from the third person starter kit, and I want to use the stuff from Infinity PBR. Specifically, I think, well, I'm going to use the human ones for this. The half orc idol is much more aggressive, and so I'm going to use a different one, but we can retarget the animations. That's perfectly fine. So let's do the generic human, I believe. What do we have? We'll use the idle, and we will use the walk and the run, and then going back to our base layer, where you can, the rest we can ignore, but we are going to create a state. Well, we can just throw in an attack. I don't know which attack we want. Let's see. Okay, that's a simple attack. That's a simple attack too. All right, we'll just throw in this attack as our attack. Any state, make transition to attack when the trigger is triggered, and then we go back to our locomotion and do our got hit. Let's just quickly see that. That's fine. Feet don't move, which is probably going to not demonstrate the issue I was wanting to look at, but whatever. Again, we're going to do the got hit. And finally, our death. Oh, very dramatic death. I like it. Okay. And our death, any state to there when we die. The thing is, in this demo, once you're dead, it's game over. So I am going to make a transition back to idle so that you can continue moving. All right. If we go back to our scene, will the new animations already be taken hold, or go back to our game? They do. And look, there's some weird stuff going on. Okay. I don't know why the when I hit space, must have a script on. Oh yeah, I must have a script on the serpent warrior that makes him do the idle break when I hit space. Anyways, let's see. Oh, he's dead. That's why. All right, let's restart it. Not sure what's going on with the weapon. We can solve for that. It's probably the bone is just rotated in the script or something, or in this animation. Not seen that before, but what can you do? All right. There we go. So now we got the got hit. But see the feet? That's not right. Oh, we got animation events on those. That's what those errors are. I wonder if the half orc will die. If he's gonna die, he's gonna die now. Yep, there he goes. He came back to life. And he's gonna keep dying over and over. All right. Look, we can still move. All right. So part of the issue is, I believe, if we look at the half orc here, we look at the animator, we need to apply root motion because my animations are root motion. But now he slides because now he's both moving and using root motion at the same time, and that's not good. Oh, let's trigger the attack thing too. Okay, so we're going to click that on. Let's make sure our player can actually do the attack animation. So we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to say player do attack. It's going to do all that. Where's my default do attack on character? All right, so I like the rest of this here. So after we do this, if it's not the mimic, then we're going to say base.doAttack. So that should call the base method on character. But that also does the damage, doesn't it? No, it doesn't. It just says do the trigger. Okay. And then after we die, I want to revive ourselves. So we have the character death down here somewhere. Death right here. So I'm going to do an override. We're going to do the base, but then we're going to do one other thing. So for the player, we're going to do a public override bool death. Or not public. What is it? Protected, make it protected. Okay, protected override bool death, and on death we're going to do base.death. So we're still going to die, but then we're going to say actor dot or we're going to health stat, because we made ourselves that nice property dot set points, and it's going to be to health or max health stat. health stat dot final value, final stat rather, sorry. And we can also make this a property as well to all our characters. If I haven't already, I may have already done this. So public void set max stat reset health. Okay. So now it's got to be a method. So now we have a reset health method. And because there could be some chance in the future that we want to recompute the stat immediately, generally we don't want to do that, but just in case. Okay, so then instead of doing this here, we just say reset health and be done with it. Where it says we have an error here. Oh, because we have to return true. Return. Okay, we'll var death result equals that, and then we'll return death result. Well, I can actually say if not death result, then return false. Otherwise, return true. There we go. So if we didn't actually die from the default one, then we return false. Otherwise, we reset our health. There we go. There we go. Not a problem. I'm always happy. I really enjoy trying to solve the problems of game dev. I think that's, some of the problems. I will definitely say I do not enjoy solving the third-person controller problem in game dev. Honestly, the only reason why I want to roll my own instead of just using something from Opsiv is because I want to sell more game modules and help pay my rent if I can and quit my day job one day. That's so I can do more game dev. But other than that, I just use the stuff from Opsiv. All right, so let's just check this real quick. We're going to let the player die. And then he should be revived because his health will be reset. And then we can check all the animations. By the way, Opsiv, if you go to infinitypbr.com and you click on the See All Assets, the other benefit of that is that you get my affiliate code. And I always appreciate it if you use my affiliate code. That means 5% of anything you buy comes back to Infinity PBR, and it pays for all the characters and stuff like that. So there you go. But if you look up a third-person controller, you've got a lot of options. And Vector has a very popular one. I think Opsiv does too, but I'm not finding it right here. Maybe they call it third-person controller. There you go. Opsiv third-person controller. Very nice people. I've met them before. And there you go, kinematic character controller, third-person perspective, run, jump, interact, crouch. Essentially, this is the way to go for a third-person controller. So I'm going to be making a simplified third-person controller because theirs is way more advanced, and I'm not going to do a reproduction of something so advanced. Wow, yeah. This is more advanced than the last time I was there. They also have the ultimate character controller, which I think is both the first and third together. Let's watch this video while I drink some. Yeah, so this is the thing. And this is when it does look good, doesn't it? This is the same thing when I think about dialogue, and I know dialogue system for Unity exists. I haven't used either of these. I've used an earlier version of the UFPS, I think. But I don't want to recreate something that's so good already. Now, I know this is an expensive asset, $250. But this is one of those assets where you just do it. It works, like, right? You buy it and then you're set forever. So the problem I'm facing here is all this sliding around. So this animation, Ignore that the club's in the wrong spot. Look at the feet. Why are we moving forward? Why are we moving forward when we just do the attack? Because the attack doesn't move forward. If we look at the animator again, let's look at the attack. Right here, we press play. One foot moves forward, the other one doesn't. But somehow, hello, Game Boy. Somehow, the animation is moving forward. See that? And that annoys the shit out of me. And I think it's because if I turn off, and this is also, you can do what you want because not everybody needs root motion. If I turn off root motion now, you know, it doesn't move forward, but now the foot slides to the back. Now the beauty of root motion is that that foot can be planted in the ground while the other foot moves forward. It's better. So unless all of your attacks have the both feet planted in the ground, then this is going to happen, or this. And I don't know why it moves forward. It's like moving forward with the root, but not moving back with the root. Maybe because it can't move back. I wonder if it's just there's no code to actually make it move backwards. Because if you go forward, you go forward from the perspective of the camera. If you go backwards, you go towards the camera. That's what, you know, you can't strafe either. You just turn and go that, you know, that's it. I wonder, let's dig into the code just to see. Let's see, where are we looking at? We're first, or let's see. Probably third person controller. Let's see, all this code. Player input. Okay. Awake, start, update, jump in gravity, ground to check, move. Target speed. Input sprint, sprint speed, or move speed. See, they say it's supposed to be iterated upon, but they didn't make theirs virtual. So you can't as easily override it. All right. It's okay. If we're not moving, then target speed 0. Current horizontal speed. That should be left and right. Oh. No, it's doing both of these. Okay. Input magnitude. Create a result rather than linear and give a more organic speed change. Okay. Animation blend. I'm going to do something real quick. This should be good enough. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. So, Chatty, my friend Chatty, is getting better all the time. Hello, Nicholas. Makes sense. This is the thing, especially first person is a lot easier than third person. Third person gets into a whole lot of like, well, how do you want your game to work? You know, like there's a lot of different ways you could have a third person controller work, and it's kind of crazy. I'm facing an issue where when root motion is active, the character will move forward with the root motion, but not backward. The example animation is an attack where one foot stays planted on the ground, the other steps forward during the attack, then moves back. The player ultimately doesn't end up further forward. But when using this script, with root motion on, the player does move forward, but not back. I wonder if there's something in the script that is keeping the player from moving backwards with root motion. ChatGPT is great. Yep, I know that. I also have set ChatGPT with custom stuff, custom instructions. So this is a new thing. I don't know if you've seen this. A new thing with ChatGPT. So I've say I'm developing video games in Unity C#. I'm an advanced intermediate coder, not an expert but advanced. We'll be looking for mostly assistance with code, and I like to call the AI Chatty. Yesterday, it's replied with something like, "Chatty here," and it called itself Chatty. And then you can give it, how would you like ChatGPT to respond? So I'd like descriptive responses, looking for optimized code, and appreciate suggestions on how I can make the code better. And after I did this, it started giving me proactive suggestions, which is great. Even when I didn't ask about. Chatty can have opinions on topics and should tell me if those opinions are generally strongly held by expert coders. Again, I want to know, because it knows this. Is this a standard way of doing it, or is it not? Because if it's not a standard way of doing it, there might be a reason for that. I would like to improve my coding skills, so I'm happy when Chatty responds with new techniques and ideas. All right, so that's what it's doing a little bit of that here. Okay, it's telling me that the code has some issues. Few multiplication calculations move method are also repeated. Consider creating a helper method. Camera rotation. Input system. It's generally a good idea. Many expert coders agree. See, many expert coders agree. Separate logic into smaller methods. See, sometimes it also gives you a good pat on the back too, which is always nice. So there doesn't seem to be any code reason why the character can't move backward. Yeah, I didn't see any absolute. Yeah, I don't know. And now that we've watched that amazing video on Opsiv's Ultimate Character Controller, I'm like, maybe just tell people use that and make sure that my system can easily integrate with it. Which it can. I know it can. Because my system has nothing to do with all that stuff. The only thing is you might, if you have a movement speed, that's a stat that you can change. You just pass that in. It's probably very, very easy to do so. Okay, so we got root motion on. Let's look at this. Let's just try to figure this out a little bit more. I'm never a fan of making third-person character controllers. I just ever from the very beginning. Okay, so our position is here. If we turn off root motion, our position stops. Because it's really the root position, and it's changing ever so slightly with the character's idle. So now if we do this, the position stays the same. If we do this, the position moves forward. Where are we moving? Okay, so we're moving on the Z here. Yeah, you can see it move forward, but it just doesn't move back, and I'm not sure why. Because it shouldn't be doing, like this is doing double motion here. That's why you see the feet sliding, because we're moving forward with the controller, but we're also moving forward with the root. And with here, we're only moving forward with the root. And you can see that if we turn off the root motion, then the position doesn't change at all. We're not moving with the root. We're not doing that. And here we just move, and the feet generally are the right. Since I'm using a different animation, they slide a little bit because the other animation was essentially timed perfectly with the footsteps, which, you know, is fine to do it that way, but I don't like it personally, but yeah. I mean, we could try doing a simplified third-person controller. Okay, let's try doing a simplified third-person controller. We're going to use ChatGPT. I need some more coffee for this. We'll try it and see what happens. If I can get a simple third-person controller, then I'm happy, I guess. We had to change the animation blend to horizontal and vertical instead of locomotion. What does that mean? Oh, and the other thing, of course, is freaking Sin Machine is being used. Because third person means you got two things to consider. At least two things. You've got the character motion and the camera motion. And they're separate, but they're connected. Because oftentimes when you go forward, you want to go forward based on the camera's looking position, not the character. But that might not be the case for you. Maybe your game, it doesn't work like that. So that it's very... Yeah. Oh. Is that on the... Oh, is that for the animator here? I didn't even look at that. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, because this one you're just going forward. Or not going forward. So, I mean, if we think about it, so let's think first about the character motion itself is really, as Nicholas is pointing out here, if you want the character to be able to strafe while still looking forward, you need a 2D blend. And here, what we see in the top right corner here is 1D, which means, as we've been seeing, you move forward. And if you move a different direction, you turn and move that direction. You turn real quick and move that direction. You can't move backwards. You can't walk backwards. You can't strafe. It's basically all forward momentum. It's very simplified. I don't want to tell you how to do your thing, how to do your stuff. So ultimately, what value am I adding? Because, okay, so game modules cannot force people to do things a certain way. Unless you're using a system like the first-person movement system, well, I guess it's a little forcing you, or the inventory, drag-and-drop inventory system. Those will say, well, you have to do it within constraints. But even those need to be as flexible as possible. The first-person movement, for example, it's got its constraints, but you can extend it. You can make it your own. Third person is just so much more complicated because, you know, not everybody's going to want strafes. For some people, this is the way to go. You know, when I watch my friend's kid play Roblox, that's the most, you know, it's an extremely simplified. You just move forward and the camera just kind of follows you. Ah, there's a video for that. Nicholas, did you know that? Let's see. See, I was using Destroy It, and I was looking at their docs. I didn't know why their docs is a PDF. That doesn't make any sense to me. You can't search a PDF. Don't use a PDF for your docs, people. Don't use a PDF for your docs. Go to getbook.io. It's free. Use Getbook. Don't use PDF for your docs. Anyways, also you can't update them easily. Yeah, if you go to infinitypbr.com and you click on tutorials, I should add some of the newer tutorials here. I neglect this page, I think. We have, nope, not this one, integration and tips. We have one that was made right here, boom. Made by Jim back when Jim was making videos. Our very first Humble Bundle paid for Jim to make a bunch of videos for a short while. But there's an OpenJAW fix here. So the problem... Nicholas, yeah, the problem is that if there's no if the character is rigged for mouth and there's no mouth data, so a lot of the animation packs on the asset store ignore the face. The head goes around like a dead head, and that's it. If there's no information for the mouth, for some reason, it defaults to open. I don't know why. It defaults to open. So that's what happens is our characters have a mouth that goes open and closes, and a lot of the animations don't have any information there, so they are ultimately locked. There's this stupid heart button over this icon over your stuff, and I can never see what's written on the right side. It's very frustrating. Does this show anims for con something too? So I don't actually know what you said. So I have to bump this up. Convo. Animation anims for convo, like conversation. No. In that case, it does not. It just basically shows you how to delete the stuff, the data, so that the mouth goes closed rather than open on other animation things. Okay, so I'm still trying to decide if I actually want to do this or not. Because I don't want to do it if I can't really add value. I don't want to not add value, right? I don't want to half-ass something or not add value. And so ultimately, the only thing that I could really add value to on the character motion itself is not really much value at all, which is just saying forward, back, left, right. Let's quickly look at the first person. Actually, I have a project open with it right here, I think. Yeah, all right. So this is the first person camera here. We'll look at this as an example. We have our player input, which I could probably just use this for the same thing. And a first-person movement control script. And we have the first-person movement demo. So we've got first-person movement. This is basically the stuff that controls this. So if I turn this on, I can jump. If I turn this on, I can fly. This is a scriptable object. It controls just the raw details. Yes, the mouths can talk. Blah, 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 blah. They are not... I think the female human is rigged for, like, motion morphs, but we never got it working right because Unity crapped out and stopped working on the tool they were working on for some reason. So we never got it working right, and so I think only the human female is fully rigged for that. The rest are not, but the mouths do go open, closed, and the eyes do stuff too. They can blink and stuff, so there is some freedom there. So this is basically the raw details. These shouldn't change during the game. I guess you could change them, but that's something you could override if you wanted to change them. But ultimately, this is just like, okay, this is the raw details. Turn that off, you can't fly. Turn that on, you can. And then you pass that into the first-person movement, the first-person movement right here. Then you have your controller, which is a character controller. You have the camera. You have another camera, which is the same camera, so probably redundant. These are the values that get passed in from a script, like your input script, like this one, or your own, which you can override this if you wanted to. And then control options. These are set at default at the start based on the script, but you can also then turn them on if you really wanted to. So let's check this out. We have the ability to walk forward. So it's set to default run. So when I hold down shift, that's what I'm doing here. It slows down. We can jump. We can't double jump because I didn't code for that, but you could do that. And I think we have it set so that you can't change directions while jumping, but there's an option to allow that. And then if I hit E, then we can start flying, and we're now flying in the air. You can go up, down, and you have an option to look where you're flying or not. You can turn that on and off so that you can, not look where you're flying. And then you can also hit Control, is it? No. What button was it? Z, I think, to turn that to, yeah. So if you hold Z, you won't move where you're looking or fly where you're looking, but if you turn it off, then you will. So, how that works for your game is entirely up to you, but I have some basic stuff there to work with it. The problem with third person is it just gets so complicated so quickly with the different options of strafing, not strafing, camera following, not camera following, sin machine, not sin machine. There's just too many options. I feel like maybe I can't add any real value there. Maybe I can. All right, let's give it a try. We'll see what if I can come up with something simplistic, and then we can go from there. All right, let's give it a try. We're going to use ChatGPT for this because we are not going to not use the AI. We're smart these days, right? Humans are smart. Let's do a new chat. All right, let's build a third person movement system in Unity. I believe this will be a two-part system. One for the character motion, the other for the camera motion. Let's start simple and build complexity from there when we need it and only when we need it. Also, everything is extensible, so we need methods to be virtual so that other people who use this system can customize and expand on it. We will use the namespace Infinity PBR.modules. And where is my modules? Scripts, scriptable objects. Oh, I have it in first person movement. Scripts, scriptable objects, first person movement. And we will start with a scriptable object which will hold all the key details. Settings. Here's an example of my first person movement scriptable object. Please make one for third person movement. Remove anything that is not needed and add anything that you feel is almost certainly needed for a third person controller. All right. Boom. All right. See that? Isn't that great? It just does stuff, Yep. See, that's another example. The middle click and for scrolling is a whole other thing. I'm happy with ChatGPT to remove stuff because there's stuff here that isn't needed, or there might be actually. This one's very basic, so I actually don't know. But see, it's adding rotation, and it's explaining things. Okay, we're gonna do so. This is gonna be third person movement, scriptable object, and I'm just gonna keep it here. We might end up making it the same thing, or maybe we'll do it into one. Create folder, third person movement. How about movement third person? And we'll rename this to be movement first person, so they're right next to each other in the hierarchy. So we need folders for editor. Why are you doing that? I just created a folder. That's all I did. Uh-oh. Did I crash it by creating a folder and moving things around? Yep. You do have to be careful with Chatty because Chatty is like a person, and they make mistakes all the time. But if you're careful and you understand what they're doing, then it's okay. Prefabs. What's going on? Why is my prefabs? And then scripts, and then scriptable objects. All right. All right, and then new third person controller, or maybe it's just control. We'll find out. I have a mute button right here. I just failed to use it. Oops. Yeah, it's an interesting thing about the ChatGPT. I was actually watching one of those videos. I think it was from Replica AI. They have a demo video for their voices that basically shows you, and it's an Unreal one, shows you how to communicate with their servers to get voices out. And I'm sure it's using ChatGPT to create the responses, but I don't know how they say it exactly. But a lot of the NPCs basically get mad really fast. They're like, why are you asking me these things? I think it's an interesting tactic, but it makes me wonder, not because the future AI overlord will know how we acted to early AIs, but rather, is there a world where the AIs do respond to your emotions? If you scold it, will it feel bad? Not really feel bad, come on. But will it respond as if it's like, oh shoot, that okay, they're really unhappy with me. I must have done something really bad. I'm going to pay more attention now to something. Or if you say thank you a lot, is it going to be nicer to you? You know, I don't know. All right, let's open this up. We're going to just paste this all in. Okay, third person movement. I need to change this to be third person movement. Aha. Your ChatGPT is a he, huh? Without getting into the politics of it, it's very difficult for people who are used to saying he and she to suddenly say them in a world where many people are deciding that they would prefer to be called them. Fine by me. I'm not them, so they can do what they want, and I will respect that. And ChatGPT, not male nor female, so it's them. Perhaps the world would be better if we all just called each other them, because who cares in the end? And then we wouldn't have to worry about it. But I wonder if we get all used to saying them about the AI, then it would make it a lot easier for the world to transition. Since language does have such a big impact on social structure and hierarchies and stuff, maybe that would make the world a better place. Nice side effect of the AI. All right, so we have this. Let's create one, right? So we're going to create, where did I put it here? I put it here. So we're going to create our prefabs, create Infinity PBR, create, game modules, create third person movement. And did I call it something different? First person movement demo. Yes, so we'll call it, third person movement demo. All right. We now need the editor. So let's get that up. Okay. Here's the editor script for the first person movement I showed above. Please make a similar one for the third person movement. See, that maybe a lot of people do that for marketing purposes. But what if you didn't know if it was a male or female voice? What if they specifically chose a voice that was just like, well, if you hear female or male, it's your perspective on that. And I say that because the reality is, Um, when we play games, like I was playing the Baldur's Gate game, they let you choose a general body shape, male or female. But beyond that, you can choose any voice you want, any hair you want, any facial hair you want. So they're still limiting by the base body shape, but you can imagine a morph that goes between them, and you can choose anything. Aliens, I can't wait for that disclosure to happen, right? All right. Here I've introduced some potential new properties like camera offset. And check camera collision. Nice. I like where it's going with this. All right, let's just copy this over. And I know it's dangerous to copy third-person movement editor to copy without understanding first, but I don't think it's going to try to hack my computer yet. Third-person movement editor. Oop. I should capitalize that E. Yeah, people will hear the voice they want to hear. If it's ambiguous enough, right? If it's clearly, you know, I'm a male or I'm a female. That's a terrible female voice. I apologize to all the female folks of the world. But you know what I mean? Like if you listen to audiobooks, that's probably not the best example. But anyways, there are voices that I think most people would identify as male, and there are voices that most people would identify as female. But if you find a voice that without any other context, 50% say it's female, 50% say it's male, boom. Wouldn't that be a great voice for the AI? And then, yes, absolutely, people will identify it however they want. I mean, people call their cars he's and she's, so, you know. All right, so it has some issues here. Header row is not... wait. Oh, it's because... Why is it not using header row? What's header row? Aha. Did we not have header row in this? Header row. Nope, we don't. Okay, so we need to add camera pan and okay. So please add can pan and check camera collision to the third. I see what we're doing here. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do this part myself. So these are both bools on the script. This is the third person movement script, and it's going to be ultimately the camera options here. So we're going to say public bool can pan equals false. I don't know. And what was the other? Check camera collision. Public bool check camera collision true. So can pan, I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but maybe can pan would be like can pan away from the target, which is what Baldur's Gate can do. That's an interesting thing. I wonder how they handle that. I guess they're not... Oh, interesting. So if I'm remembering the game that I played yesterday, they don't actually follow the player at all. Interesting. In a way, do we need to separate out the movement from the camera? Here's an updated script. This is another technique I like to do with ChatGPT, pass in the updated script so it gets all those updates and know that it's updated. I feel it may be wise to create a separate object for third person movement camera. To separate the control controls of the camera versus the character movement. This is because the character movement just moves that character, but how the camera responds, following, etc., is separate. Would you agree? Let's see what it says. Oh, it concurs with my intuition. Nice. Yeah, I think we need to separate the modularity, flexibility, linear logic, efficiency. Sorry, I don't know why I'm coughing. Third-person movement camera. So we're going to create a new one. Third-person movement camera. It's a mono behavior. Okay, but we need a camera settings. So let's create this. We can create this. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to be a base class for all third-person movement cameras. It's going to be extensible, so specific things you can modify. All right, so let's create a script here. Create script third-person movement camera control. And we're going to copy this, but we're going to make it control. Okay, I've created this script for now, but let's step back and make a scriptable object like the third person movement scriptable object above. That might force it to look up, I'm not sure. That handles just the camera options, and then update the third person movement to handle just the movement options. Step by step. All right, so third person camera settings. I guess it makes sense to call it settings. Third person camera settings. Okay. And update the third person movement. Okay. Camera control script, third person camera control. Okay, so now I'm gonna give it some updated code here. So we're gonna change this to movement settings. Oh, it's still generating? Oh, next, and we're going to remove this. It's going to have to update that as well. We're going to have to go through that. All right. And for the first person, we're going to change this to settings as well. Okay. I just want to make sure we keep similar language for all of these, if you know what I mean. Okay, settings. So this is just going to be change this to settings editor. And then instead of first person movement control, we can change that to just be first person movement. Once it reloads the script assemblies. All right. That's fine. All right, and then we're going to have to update ChatGPT with our updated scripts because there's more work to be done on them. I'm going to close this. Close that, close that, close that, close that. All right. Third person controller. I'm going to close that. That's not mine. Okay, camera settings. Okay. Let's make an editor script for this, similar to the others. Okay. So that's just, part of that is also saying, hey, I updated this class name. Look at that. I like that it's using my terminology and everything because it's just copying and assuming that it works. Okay, I'm going to copy this. This is going to be a third person camera settings. Wait, third person camera settings editor. I don't think I have that script yet. Do I? Nope. Create. Third person camera settings editor. And we need our header row. I don't know why it keeps saying we don't have the header row. Maybe it's assuming this is going to be somewhere else, but it's not. It's just repeated code. It probably could be somewhere else, but it's a cool concept, the whole disabled thing. So maybe it's something I should institute into my own editor class, but we won't do it yet. System serializable. All right. Okay. Let's check these out. See where we stand here. All right, third person movement demo. We're going to create game modules, create third person camera settings, and third person camera settings demo. Settings, and we need to change this as well to be settings, camera settings, and first person movement settings also needs to have settings added here. Okay. And file name should be settings as well. Consistency is key. All right, so we've got our first person or third person camera settings and movement settings. We're going to work on the camera first. We're going to make it simple at first, where it just follows the target. Mine's better than this. Let's update this editor script. ChatGPT is not a creative entity. So Karen, we're saying it's editor here. All right, so draw camera options black line. And it's just saying rotate around. So that's really just rotate around player. Camera distance, camera offset, look offset Y. Interesting how it did that. All right, so we're going to do a little bit different. X, Y, and here we will just remove that. So we have our offset XY, offset. Love that. Did a tooltip and everything. Smooth follows speed. Can pan. What does it say? Determines the camera can pan around the scene. All right, so that's a different setting, and so is check camera collision. All right, so we're gonna do. These are gonna be camera options. And so we will add this up here for strict camera options. Camera options. Script. Oh, I see. It's getting confused because I have this is a turn on off that whole thing. Okay, so it's not really camera options here. All right, I get it now. So private void camera pan, and we will say can pan is going to be header row can pan. Camera pan. Camera pan. And so this determines whether it can and can't pan. Not this. We can add a tooltip though. I believe. Can we? We have to add that option to the header row. String tool. Oops. String tooltip, and default is blank, or is null. Label gray, header. Ooh, do we have tooltips in header? I don't think I add tooltips to header. Oh, yes I did. Tooltip. Good. Whenever I change the Infinity editor, I have to change it on other things. Hello. Jason, I was just thinking about that this morning on my way to brush my teeth and shower. While I was thinking about how I was going to do this today, I thought exactly that. And I thought to myself, in a way, second person, like firsthand is you hear it from one person, firsthand information, but firsthand experience, first person experience is my eyeballs. So third person is like I'm watching it. In a way, I thought third person is actually second person, but please do tell me why, because I was thinking about that this morning. And also, hello, how are you doing? Title to if we're gonna have to do it like this. If tooltip equals null. Then we'll do that. Otherwise, we'll do this. Else do this. And pass in our tool tip. All right. All right. And then any pan options would be under there. But if we look at our first person movement settings, wherever they may be, first person movement settings, editor. If we look at these various things, pan options, we also have this. If it can't, then we return null. So we're going to bring that over here. ChatGPT missed that. Third person camera settings. So if the script cannot pan, then we return. Otherwise, we will do additional settings, additional pan options here. Oops. Okay. And we'll do a similar thing for collision. Camera collision check. Check camera collision is going to be check camera collision. I can't type. I can't spell. I can type sometimes, but I can't spell. Our tooltip. Oops. Okay, and if we do additional options here, and okay, so camera. This is going to be really, at this point, it's camera rotation options. So we're going to rename this to be camera rotation options, or just camera rotation. We're going to do a similar thing here. Rotate around target. Might not be the player, you know. All right, Jason is saying, for those who aren't reading or don't want to read, comes from writing. It's about writing perspective. First person is I can. Second person is you can. Third person is they can. So first person games is you see the world. Second is the character sees the world. And third is if you see the character seeing the world. If you ever talked to the character, that is second person. Interesting. What would be fourth person then? All right, so we're going to do can rotate around target. And now let's update these. So we're going to do camera rotation, camera pan, and camera check collision. All right, save that. So the target is, and it's the reason why I want to start with the camera is I want to make sure that the target can change and then it smoothly goes towards the next target. And then we'll work on the movement later. But the camera. All right, so we rotate. So that if it turns off, it means it's not going to rotate around the target. It still follows the target. It doesn't rotate around the target. So camera distance is not actually about rotation. None of this is about rotation, actually. All right, let's go back to ChatGPT, update ChatGPT. And also this needs to be wider, apparently. Header row. Do we even need the width for the header row? Yeah, because we have the button. We'll say it's just 250. Okay. Okay, let's talk to Chatty here and camera settings. Okay, here are updated scripts for the camera. Give it our updated scripts now. The rotation section is not really about rotation, is it? Let's move, let's change, let's fix that by moving those into a more appropriate, I'm trying to see if it's going to come up with something more appropriately named, and then add new values for rotation speed and rotation speed ramp, which will control the speed up and down lerp or whatnot. If you give it too much stuff to do at once, it increases the chance of it just messing up. But it's fun. I still enjoy seeing what it can do because it always wows me, you know. Third person camera settings update. Let's add a rotation speed and rotation speed ramp. Okay, so we are okay. I can reorganize this later. Okay, then the editor script update. Renamed camera rotation to camera movement. Okay, we can do that. Camera movement. Okay. I don't think it knows exactly what I'm talking about here, because this is going to be under camera rotation. And if it can't rotate, so let's go back to our camera settings here. For these cans, these are going to be camera functionality options, toggles, really. So can pan, check camera collision, public bool, can rotate around target equals true. Oh, I already had that. That's nice. Okay. We're going to do a new one, public bool, can zoom equals false. I should just use the freaking mute button, but oh well. And there's that bug again. It's really small. Okay, we'll save it there. And then for the camera settings, you know, what if the camera can't move? You know, public bool can move equals true. Like, what if the camera's fixed? If it's fixed, then it can't move. So this is really going to be, yeah, ChatGPT. All right, that's fine. We'll do a new one. Private void camera rotation, and we'll just copy this because this is really what's supposed to be here. And then this is going to be can move, and rotation around. We're going to say rotation around target. Okay. So this is movement. Rotation is going to be up here. This distance is, again, not part of movement, right? We might have another option for like min and max distance. Like we might want to say, oh, when the player moves away, the camera kind of lags behind a little bit instead of being perfect. But I think that might be a Cinemachine option. We don't need to get into that right now either way. So that's rotation. We can close collision. Camera panning is completely different. We're not going to deal with that yet, really. And then we have, let's see, can pan, collision, rotate, zoom, and move. Camera zoom, can zoom. Zoom. We have no options there though, so that's fine. Just create it. Camera movement. This is going to be more like just raw. It has to have a target. And this is all relating to the target. So this is going to be one that can't be toggled off. Private void target. Camera target. And just put those there. Our header row looks like this. We're not going to have the other stuff, so we're just going to use header row for camera target. Okay, and then we'll go back up here, put the camera target at the top, and then we'll do pan and zoom. Is that all of them? Pan, collision check, rotation, zoom, movement. Should be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Which one are we missing? Rotation, zoom, rotation. All right, let's check this out. So here's the thing. I love fantasy. I love RPGs. It's with Baldur's Gate. I played it again a little bit last night, and I went into the chapel thing. You probably know the room, and there was suddenly like a trap. I was like, okay, there's a trap, and then the trap was, I don't know, over there. Then a character opened the sarcophagus, and suddenly everyone was on the ground. I have no idea why. Everyone is on the ground, and it turned me into some turn-based mode. And I was like, why am I in a turn-based mode? I'm very confused. And then, so I was like, okay, well, it looked like the ground was slippery because another character, I tried to make a move and they fell down. I'm like, okay, well, let me move out of this room because this is annoying me. And as I went out the room, I didn't step where the trap was, but suddenly the entire room lit up on fire, and like 2 people died. 2 people were almost dead. And I was like, this is what, I don't understand it. And so something about is I think it's the having to control the details of, I'm going to move this one over here, and I'm going to move this one over here. And I know Pavel from Nature Manufacturer was talking about how you can do this really intense strategy about that. And that's what I don't think was getting me, because that really is a mechanic that has nothing to do with fantasy or RPG. That's more like strategy. And generally, I like strategy. I like tower defense and stuff. But I think something about that, I was just, it hasn't clicked on me yet. I don't mind the turn-based movement. Don't mind that necessarily. I just, something about it is just hasn't clicked. But you know, I don't know. All right. So we've got those camera pan. Those got no options now. We're on target. I have to make it even longer. This spacing is wrong, ChatGPT. Camera target. We also need a space here. And it's going to be camera distance. We'll say, okay, 150, 150, 150. If we're going to do 40, we should do 40. If we're going to do 50, we should do 50. Or I guess for this, maybe we'll do, yeah, all right, whatever. We'll just do 50 for all of them. All right. And for these other ones, same deal. That was camera movement, rotation around target. Consistency is key for good-looking UI in the editor, in my opinion. I want to like it, and I'll try it again. Maybe I'll wait until the official version comes out. But yeah, it's just there's a lot of management that I don't necessarily want to do. Like, if the player is down and the only way is to move over there and help them, is there any world in which I don't do that? I don't know. Also, the whole dealing with the whole resting thing, like, oh, you can only use this attack once, then you have to do a short rest or something. I get it, but I don't know. All right, so let's turn off these for now. Camera distance, camera offset, look at offset. See, for the look at, I almost feel like this needs to be handled by the target, because a dragon is bigger than a human, and so the offset would be different. But that's okay for now. We can update it later. All right, let's give ChatGPT our updated scripts. Here are updated scripts. I don't know if it copies these when they're collapsed. Now let's update the now let's create a mono behavior called third person camera, which will be put on a camera and needs to take in a target and then handle the options we have in the scriptable object, ignoring those where the can XYZ is false. Let's see if it works. No, I like the stats. I like the stats. So I don't know if, Jason, if you've ever played the old Might and Magic games, Might and Magic 6, 7, 8. They have not aged well. The graphics are very, very old. But that's the kind of thing that I liked. I liked being able to explore the world because I love exploring pretty worlds. Buying Diablo was really... Diablo's not my favorite necessarily. It was a little bit better I just played that. But, I got... downloading Diablo got me a download Battle.net, and that got me back into Hearthstone, and then I stopped playing Diablo 4. So I don't mind the stats. The stats I'm into. It's the experience. I don't like having to make nitty-gritty detailed decisions. The decisions I want to make are broader, I suppose. Like, how would I explain it? I guess in a game like Diablo, right, where you can get a new weapon that's just like slightly better, but then there's this other stat and this other stat. There's a lot of when the connections get so complex that by changing this one thing, all these other things cascade. I love the ability in the game modules that you can do exactly that. But as a player, that's too much for me. It's kind of like in the character creation scene of Baldur's Gate, where I was like, this is just too much information, too many decisions. Like, first, I don't even know how any of this affects anything, and we talked about that in the stream yesterday too. But like, I don't want to make all those decisions. I don't want to say that, oh, when I was 7, I fell down a well and therefore this happened, or instead of falling down a well, I rescued a puppy and therefore I have this other stuff. That's too much for me. That's just too much details. I don't want to make all those small detailed decisions. All right, let's see what ChatGPT said. Absolutely. Let's go ahead and create third-person camera model behavior. Given that you're an advanced senior, I'm going to structure this optimization and clarity in mind. Hey, thanks. However, keep in mind that the core functionality will be presented here, but the in-depth features, of course, yeah, we'll deal with that. All right, let's go with this. Third-person camera. Third-person camera. And we're going to get rid of this. Apparently when I mute my computer too. Oh, that's because yeah, I've got multiple buttons. I was just pressing the wrong one. You know what I actually like when I mentioned this briefly earlier, I think before you joined. I don't like building a third-person camera system. I don't like this part. But I do like, in general, solving the challenges. So, like, this whole scene came out because somebody said, how do I make a destructible wall? And so, really, I made a destructible barrel. But to show it, I wanted to show a normal enemy, an NPC that everyone understands as an NPC. An NPC that's a special one, a mimic, that doesn't act like an NPC until it suddenly does. And then an object that is a character, but only in the sense that it has stats, and it can then do something with those stats. So I showed the inheritance of the NPC script, or really the character script, because the player is also a character, down to NPC, down to mimic, and then character down to barrel, and then character to player. So that is why I like making the game modules and why I like working on my own game. When it comes to the game itself, though, I loved Might and Magic back in the day, and that's the game I want to make. And I'm sure there's other people who like it. I know that if you're talking about making money, then you probably want to like follow the money. But in this case, that's what I wanted to do. But I like the idea that the game modules can do anything. You know, I love the concept that you can make you could make Baldur's Gate with game modules. Like, there's no doubt in my mind. You can absolutely make it with game modules. Everything in that game, I can tell you how to make in game modules. Well, not necessarily the camera movement and stuff like that, but I'm talking about the core data and maths and stuff behind it. And if I can't do it, we'll add it to game modules. But yeah, that's what I like. Entity. So entity has info to actor. Actors has behavior. Character has AI. NPC and player have named identities. That makes sense. Okay. That makes sense. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was just deleting this one, because that was the old one that ChatGPT gave us, and we're not going to use it. We're going to use third-person camera. I don't know why it's taking so long to do this script reloading. Oh, it's because of this. I have no idea why this popped up. I have zero clue. So it's because it's going through all of these objects. You know, you see all these warnings. It's a game modules utility thing here, and can't figure it out. This is on validate. We populate all for the game module repository, and we're just populating the game module objects. Nothing fancy. And then we do this object reference. The object reference is populating the missing references from the game module. So that's basically going through each game module utilities, find assets by the interface. I have dictionaries, and then doing a thing on them. None of those objects have dictionaries on them. But then it's calling this, and at that point, so it's when we load these asset paths to check to see if it has the interface. It's doing something that's causing these errors or warnings. And I don't know why. But I need to fix it because that's going to be annoying for everybody. Anyways, that's another thing to do. But, all right, so there we go. Now we got that. I'm going to turn off this main camera. And I'm going to create a new one. So create camera. And call this third person camera. And we're going to add a component called third person camera. Where is this? Did I not paste this in? I guess I didn't paste it in. All right, we'll see if it just works. That's the big thing. Does it just work? And then we'll go through the code and fix it up. Interesting. So that's I can understand that hierarchy of terms. How do you handle a rat? You know, rats are backgrounds, but what if one of them can speak to the player? Are then all rats NPCs, or is there a special rat that's a NPC and the rest are characters? All right, settings is going to be our third person demo settings. Our target is going to be our player half orc. There's no other camera, is that right? Let's just press play and see what happens then. Okay, so the movement suddenly sucks, but okay, we are. I don't know why the player movement is wrong all of a sudden, but interesting. All right. But we are following the player. Now, if I change my settings, we can change our distance. That's great. Our offset. Our look at offset. So these are things that are going to have to be passed into the script. So these are the default, but once it's live, it's going to be the live script. Okay. So let's ask ChatGPT to add that. Great. Let's add the fields from the settings to the third-person camera. This is so that at awake or start, the settings are essentially mapped to the scriptable object settings, but then we can change the local settings without changing the scriptable object settings. Yep. Interesting. So I always consider that game development for a lot of us is our hobby, right? For many of us, it's problem solving, but just like Baldur's Gate versus Might and Magic, it's what problems do you like solving? Not everyone likes solving the same problems. I think humans in general like solving problems. We like having that puzzle aspect, but some people like video games. Some people like, money puzzles. Some people react to different kinds of puzzles. And with game development, not every kind of puzzle in game development is fun. I don't like dealing with UX at all. I hate it. With camera systems, I'm like, I don't really like it. But with other things, I do. All right, what do we got here? Perfect. Copy the code. Oh, and the rest of my code. This is why you can't necessarily just copy it wholesale. All right. And current rotation speed. We've lost current rotation speed. What was it before? It kept current velocity, just lost this one line for some reason. All right. All right, now we need a camera input. Simple camera input. Well, I suppose when you're a jack of all trade making your own game, you have to do everything yourself. But I suppose if you're working in some studio setup, you're going to work on one thing that you hopefully will be an expert in love. It's isn't that the way of the world though? That's in an ideal world I'd be a famous singer in a band and I could play guitar really well, but nope. Oh, I'd also be able to speak Spanish really well in an ideal world. That would be a good language to know where I live, and I am terrible with languages. Piquito Español. Yes. Yo habla Piquito Español. Very little. Yeah. And now you're a burned out rock star, Nicholas. So you do game dev. All right. On our third person camera, we have this. All right, now let's do our input. Player input. This is a simple player input for my first person movement system. We need a similar one for third person for player input third person camera. All right, I think it'll know what I mean by that. All right, so there's going to be a script. Well, it's writing it. I'm going to create it. We're going to create a script called player input third person camera. All right, we're going to copy it, and then we'll read what it wrote about the notes. All right. Camera rotation. It's set to rotate the camera on the player when the remote can't rotate camera key, mouse right button by default is held down. Camera zooming. Page up and page down. All right, I can do that. Okay, camera control is third person camera. Let's add the required methods / updates. Da, 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 da. Nice. Welcome to Unity. The tools are crazy. You know, the ChatGPT stuff makes me wonder, like, you know, as an asset store publisher, the image generation stuff is surely hurting some of the human artists in some degree. It will never end it completely, and hopefully those human artists are using it as well to make their stuff better. The future includes 3D models being created by AI. That'll be a little bit while before it's actually good. It's a lot more complicated than 2D, but it'll get there. And then at that point, me making my characters, I will need to create characters that have something more than the AI can do. And scripting is the same way. It's so much easier to do coding stuff, and it's going to get faster and better, that even tools and scripting add-ons will get kind of pointless, because why would you spend $50 for one when you can just spend 30 minutes with ChatGPT and create your own? And that is now your own, which you could sell if you wanted to, or just use it and you've saved $100 an hour of your time. It changes things, so we'll see. All right, so we need to add this code to this, it looks like. To the player input, no, to the third person camera. Update, move camera, do all that, pan camera, zoom camera, check collision. All right. But dot look up, dot zoom in, and dot zoom out need to be created. Yes, I do. Oh, certainly. I mean, Jason Storey is way faster than ChatGPT on many, many things. Yet I have a feeling he also uses AI now to get even faster. But it just means that, like, just learning Unity, like if I had ChatGPT when I was first learning Unity, which was now 2012. So 11 years ago, it would be amazing. I would be faster. I'd be better now than I would be. But yeah. All right, this is back to here. We need to add these. We need to add zoom in, oops, zoom in, zoom out. And we need to do rotate around target. Update that. All right. And then we'll fix it up. At some point we have to fix it up because ChatGPT is giving us stuff we don't want. What? I don't even know what Arma 3 is. But yes. Oh. I'm glad you bought assets from me. Hopefully, I try to make my assets more... what is this? This needs to be updated. More valuable than others. Player input third person camera. As we're doing whack-a-mole right now, it looks like. What's the error here? Pan camera. Nope. Whatever it just did, we don't want it to do. Okay. We need to make some updates. Let's see. Camera control script. This should pass data into the input script. Into the third person camera script. It should not directly control the camera. Just pass data in, and third person control then handles itself. Because separate those responsibilities. Is that the term? Decoupling, which is a great approach. So it's now telling me what to do. I want it to do it for me. So that sounds great. Please provide the updated code. Interesting. Nebulazar. I forget people's names everywhere. If you come a lot, I will remember you. Like the Bull, who I don't see very often anymore, but I used to see a lot when I first started streaming. All right. Let's redefine. So this is player input third person camera. Our update is being updated. And handle scroll zoom is being updated as well, or added rather. Okay, and then third person camera. Current pitch. Okay. rotate around target. Okay, and camera zoom, or zoom camera rather, is just saying camera distance equals clamp. That we'll have to add min max values for these. And it's still saying can pan. Pan camera. Pan camera needs to be decoupled. I think it's starting to forget things, which is why it's, you know. Nope. Nope, this is not what I mean. This is not what I mean. Alright, that's not what I meant. What? Sorry, that's not what I meant. What I mean is there should be variables on third-person camera which hold the amount of pan X and Y, and then the input script should provide that data to the third-person camera. All right, there we go. It's, you know, sometimes you can do this faster if you just did it yourself. Other times, who knows? And then we do need to update these to clean up the scripts and make sure we understand. Okay, and then player input. Not in player input. See, it's forgetting everything already. So we need to reset it soon. Please add the pan value options to this input. It's giving me a lot more than I actually need. Checking as it goes to make sure that it's not changing anything on me without telling me, because it can do that sometimes. Handle camera pan. This is the important bit. It basically rewrote the whole thing just for this. Sometimes it gives you the whole thing, sometimes it doesn't. All right. Let's see what happens when we press play. But we should also check our scriptable object, make sure those options are turned on. Oh, the glove stud guy. Stud glove. You just change your name to Stud Glove or Glove Stud. Yeah. Wardrobe's a tough one. All right, so our camera settings. Let's turn these on and press play. See what happens. I don't remember what default input values it gave, but we can find out. I need to fix this issue. I don't know what's somehow it's going through all those things and it's causing that warning. All right, if we look at our third person camera. Oh, it's the input. Oh, I didn't create the damn input. Okay. Player input third person controller. Camera control is this. All right. Oh, look at that. almost working. It goes back at some point. Yeah, it always goes back, but I can rotate a little bit. Zoom in. Maybe it doesn't like this on the Mac. I don't have a... So we'll change this to scroll wheel. And pan is mouse 2. Okay, so let's do some stuff here. Rotate camera key. Okay, so this is where the third person controller stuff gets really complicated, because there's many ways to rotate the camera. Whether it's a key, you hold down the key and then you rotate, or whether it's just the mouse left and right just automatically does it. And so this is why the player input script has to be something that can be overridden and customized, and really just decoupled entirely, so you can just write your own. Okay, so let's update this. We're going to ask ChatGPT to update this a little bit. We're going to say rotate camera key should default to the... Okay. Instead of rotate camera key, let's default to... in the mouse X, the mouse left right movement. Instead of page up down for zoom, let's do mouse scroll up for zoom in and mouse scroll down for zoom out. See if I can make those two changes. I think I'm getting old. My eyes are getting effed up. Things are getting blurry when they weren't blurry before. Yep. Might need glasses soon. I wonder if it's this giant monitor too, is the issue. All right, let's see. Third person input. Plumbing input options. Interesting. It hasn't updated. Okay. Okay, I see. Okay, we're gonna have to make some updates here, I'm gathering, because camera key or pan is the same as rotate. We don't want to do both of those, but that's okay. Let's just see where it is first. Okay. None of these are working. Oh, okay. Now this is working. But it always goes back. All right. Let's start. Let's clean this up. So we're gonna do some manual work here. Ugh, boring old manual work. All right. So let's first look at the rotation. Handle camera rotation. Camera control, turn right, turn left. That should be fairly straightforward. I don't think this matters anymore. I don't think these matter anymore. I think, oh, see, that's why it changed that. Got it. So in the rotation, so if our pan camera key is down on rotation, we don't want to rotate. If get key return. But this actually, it's not that. Okay. We're going to make a property for this. Public bool pan key down is going to be, or pan key pressed is going to be input get key pan key. So if pan key is pressed, so we'll say var pan key pressed, cache it equals that, and then if pan key is pressed, then we do 0. Otherwise, we do that. So we're passing in basically no motion if where pan key is pressed. Otherwise, we take in the mouse motion. And we'll do the same thing for the camera pan. Is can be pressed is with that. Otherwise, 0. And we'll do the same down here. So simplify those quite a bit. All right, and then I'm going to move these by each other since they're so closely related. But we're also going to say here, if not can camera control, if not camera control dot can pan, where's these should be public. Can rotate return. Well, actually, we're gonna have to decouple or separate out rotation and tilt at some point, but technically we need to set these to be 0. Actually, we'll just return because this is just the input. And similar here, if we can't pan, then we return. If we can't zoom, then we return. Okay, that's extra now. All right, we'll handle zoom later. For these two, now when we go to our camera control, say turn right. Turn right, look up, pan X, pan Y. Okay, we'll have to update chat GPT with the code when we're done too. Let's simplify these. So we're going to actually move the can part checks to each of those. I prefer doing that. So if we can't move, then we will do something, but we will say So the thing is that you can turn on the movement throughout the game. So what we really want to do is say, okay, if we can move, then do this. Otherwise, if we can't move, do a different position. So var move target position is going to be equal to can move. And if it is, then the target position then we do all of that. Otherwise, transform position. So some Copilot help there of the camera itself. And then desired position is going to be equal to that. So we can just make desired position equal that. Okay. So now we have our position. Offset position. Same thing. If we can move, then we're going to do that. Otherwise, 0, vector 3, 0. Okay, and then our final position is going to be those together. If we're smoothly following, then we will do that. Otherwise, just jump to it. Yes, I would prefer that to be a question operator. And then transform look at. Look at should be an option, right? Because there's moving and there's also looking. Mage Wizard game. Yep. And honestly, you could add studs with, if you did get Substance Painter, you could add studs with a normal map. They'd look pretty good. And if you're not super close, they'd look perfect, I think. But having studs is nice too. You could change them with gems or other slotted things, claws or whatever too. So there's different reasons for different things there. But so looking at is kind of a setting. Because right now we're assuming it's always going to look at the target. But that doesn't always have to be the case. But I guess you just set a different target to look at. So it does always have to look at a target, but it's up to you to determine what that look at target is. So we need a separate look at target because there's a movement target and then there's a look at target. Okay, so what we need in our third person camera target, we have a target, and this is going to be move target. And then we have a look at target, which is often the same, but it doesn't have to be. So we're rotating around move target. Okay, so move target. This is not we'd have to update this because this doesn't, it's not always the case. Okay, so there's position, 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 and then this is look at target. So this can be a completely separate thing. Private void camera look at, and we just set that camera look at, move camera, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody. First time I said that in the past 2.5 hours. All right, so now let's check our third-person camera. We need to set our targets again. So in both cases, this. All right, and let's press play and see what happens. I think it's still going to rotate back. But I might get the input a little bit closer. Okay. So this is not the rotation working, but the mouse down doesn't work for the panning. All right. Let's just work on the rotation first. Rotate around target. So let's just confirm once again that our rotation is being set. Not player input. Third person. Third person. Is it not up anymore? Player input third person. So in rotation, we're just passing in turn right and look up. What's look up? Oh, okay. It's the tilt. Tilt. Tilt up. Okay. All right, so turn right, tilt up. It's used. All right, so horizon rotation, horizontal rotation. Turn right. Times rotation speed. Okay. All right, I think this needs let's make sure. Here's okay. Here's an updated script for rotate around target. Let's make sure that it only rotates based on the input, but doesn't go back to 0 or whatnot. Right now, when I stop moving the mouse, it moves back to where the rotation began. It's not update. Okay, good. I want you to update the code, Chatty. Okay, we gotta save our current angles. That makes sense. This is the type of code that I know I could write, I don't want to. I don't want to. All these spam texts. I wonder how many people actually reply to them saying stop or, oh my gosh, yeah, I'll answer your survey. Oh, I'm not registered as a Republican. No. Let me click this button. Do people actually? I bet some people do respond to these. Yep, that's a common way of doing it. The problem is there's so many options. Like in one game, you might have the rotation be a key. You know? It's just there's too many third person, like 2D images to 3D models. The complication from first person to third person equally like Oh, what's going on now? All right. Okay. So now it's working. So we need to clamp the up and down. We need to clamp an option for the boolean. Okay. So let's do a few things. Great. Here's an updated script for the settings. And the editor. For rotation, we need to add one bool limit rotation equals false, which when true, we can ignore that limit rotation. Two, float start rotation equals 0f. This will be in relation to the move target, basically behind the move target. 3, float min rotation or max rotation from start equals 90f. This is only used when limit rotation is true, and it will limit this to be negative and positive this value from the start. 2, bool limit tilt equals true. 2 or 4. 5, float start tilt equals, say, negative 30f, i.e. looking slightly down toward the target, the look at target. 6, float max min. Oh shoot, it's not tilt, is it? It's the actual height, camera height. Limit height. Start height equals do we have that value already? Camera offset XY, yes. Okay. Also, camera offset Y is the height. Okay, so for bool limit height equals true. camera offset, Y is start height. 5 max height equals say, I don't know, 3.5, and 6 min height equals 1.0 f. Please add those values to the scriptable object and to the editor. All right. Yeah. Third person camera settings. Okay, and then our camera rotation. Nice. Did that. Camera target. All right. Okay, let's see if these values make sense. Yep, that makes sense, Nicholas. I forget what I did for the Barbarian when I made that game years and years ago, but I know the movement was a pain in my butt to do. All right, so we now have camera target, max height 3.5. If we turn out limit height, then it disappears. Okay. Limit rotation. Start rotation should always be included. So we're going to move that up to here. Great. Okay. Great. Okay. Now we need to update the third person camera. 1, make the start rotation effective at start. Do not move to it, but set the camera to be there immediately. Handle the limits if they are turned on. 3, we'll just leave it at that and see if it updates appropriately. I need to eat some food. Ooh, that was a lot of information all at once. We got this, got this, got this. Other variables, awake. Okay, we need to add this to the awake. Rotate around. Okay. I guess we're going to update that in a bit. Other methods. If can rotate around target, then rotate around target. We already have that. Okay, maybe it says we need to move it to the end if that matters. And then rotate around target is being updated quite a bit. Okay. And earlier there was an error and it doesn't appear to be there anymore, so that's good. All right, so we are limiting our height. We are not going to limit our rotation. Rotation is 0 at start. Okay. Okay, so it definitely did not do it at start. It is not limiting our tilt at all. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is. I have to dig into the code. I'm going to have to dig into the code. We're going to need a value for rotation speed if we don't already have that. Oh, we already have that. We'll have to adjust that. In fact, let's see. Is it working right now? Nope, it's not adjusting. Yeah. And what happens, this is the other thing I want to try. I haven't tried it out yet. If we change our target. So right now our move target is player half orc. What if we change it to human female? We'll do the look at the same time. That's why I paused it. Suddenly it just jumps there. So it's not smooth. Yeah. All right. So the more work to be done. This is a much more complicated one than the first person one, but I am hungry and I need to go do other stuff for a little bit. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. If you're using game modules, keep in mind that a lot of that might be easier if you use it, game modules, but of course you don't have to. And, you know, yeah, so there's a lot there that maybe you'd find easier to just use that. But if you enjoyed making your own and have very, 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 very special things for it, then maybe don't use it. But really, I think check it out. You might find that it saves you a lot of time. But see you all on the Discord. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to sign off for now and keep working on this. I think it's probably going to be good enough where I can provide a very simple third-person movement, and folks can then jump off from there and make their own and expand on it as they like, or just use the Ultimate Character Controller from Opsiv, which is probably well worth the $250 it costs, based on the amount of time it saves and the amount of things it allows you to do. So anyways, don't forget to check out the Humble Bundle, Infinity PBR Humble Bundle. Don't forget the Asset Store. The Game Modules 4 is 50% off for another week or so during the new release discount, and yada, yada, yada. So bye. Have a great day.